Hello there, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's had a great Sunday. Um, just finishing watching my Warriors play, and looks like we're gonna go up 3-0 in the conference finals. How many how many how many of you guys are Dallas Maverick fans? um, Glad to be back here. Figured I'd take a week off last week just to kind of rest and recharge my batteries a little bit. So I'm back this week, and tonight we're going to talk about the life and the career of Andre the Giant, better known as Andre Roussimoff. He was born in France, and he had it all. He had the look, he had the size, he had just a God gifted talent and God gifted abilities. Um, yeah, he was a one of a kind human being, and Andre was taken from us. Andre was taken from us way too soon, and so it sucks that he's not around today because he would be awfully proud of these big men that you see in the business today. So yeah, that sucks that he's no longer with us, but he would have truly been a one of a kind athlete. So with that being said, let's go on and get started. Andre the Giant career: 7'4" and weighed 520 pounds. This was a very tall and scary human being. Born in Collioures, France, Andre Roussimoff, better known as Andre the Giant, never strayed away from a fight. Andre didn't care who you were or who you were or what you were. It would not be a good day at all. Andre's size became his ultimate demise, which led to him losing his life. This week on Wrestling Quick Takes, I will be talking about the career of Andre the Giant. So let's do it. Got my notes here, of course. We're going to start off with some of his career lows. The career of Andre the Giant spans over decades and centuries, but over time he experienced some of the lowest of lows that any man could endure. The first, the first was turning him heel. According to the Sportster.com, for a good portion of his time as a wrestler, Andre the Giant was one of the biggest baby faces in the game. Everyone loved him, and not just because of his size. He was also extremely personable and incredibly good with the crowds. That's why turning him heel was so out of place. The second problem was that he he never held the IC championship. On September 1st, 1979, Pat Patterson combined the WWE North American Heavyweight Championship with the fictitious South American Heavyweight Championship to create the Intercontinental Championship. Since then, it has become one of the most prestigious and respected titles in all of wrestling. Despite being a dominant performer with the WWE in the 1980s, Andre the Giant never won the Intercontinental Championship. It's too bad, as he would have had an incredible run with it. The third problem was Andre only held the WWE Tag Team Championship once in his career. When WWE doesn't want to put a big belt on a wrestler, their default move has long been to stop that person into a is to slap that person into a random tag team, keeping in mind that Andre the Giant only won one singles title in his entire WWE run. One would think that he would have had a multiple tag team championships on his resume. The fourth problem was Andre getting slammed by Hulk Hogan. Possibly the most iconic moment in the history of the WWE was Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre Giant at WrestleMania 3. The build up to this moment was huge, and fans all over the world were blown away as it was the first time Andre had been slammed. Andre's greatest matches. Andre has been in some of the most iconic matches in the history of wrestling. I will give you five of my favorite matches ever done by Andre, even though I wasn't born yet. The first match is WrestleMania 2. Nothing makes a wrestler look more dominant than winning a 20-man battle royal. The one that took place at WrestleMania 2 was unique in that it featured a mix of WWF and NFL talent, including the legendary William the Refrigerator Perry. The final three men in the ring were Andre and the Hart Foundation. Andre first took out Jim the Anvil Neidhart, then turned his attentions to Bret the Hitman Hart. As one would expect, Andre won the match and had two wins in a row at WrestleMania. The second match is Andre's first championship, million dollar, the $1 million man Ted DiBiase had been trying for a long time to buy the WWF World Heavyweight Championship off of Hulk Hogan. Naturally, Hogan refused to sell it, so DiBiase brought it in Andre the Giant on the main event. The two men faced each other, and Andre won his first championship, though it was thanks to dubious reffing. The third match is his debut match in the WWF. While Andre did wrestle around the world, he was best known for his work in the WWF. He debuted with the company that was known as the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. On March 26, 1973, he faced off against Buddy Wolf in one of the best known arenas in the world, Madison Square Garden in New York City. It was an auspicious start for the man who would become one of the most legendary figures in the industry. The fourth match is WrestleMania 1, Andre's ongoing feud with Big John Studd throughout the early 1980s was a huge part of WWF programming. At the core of their rivalry was Studd, who was also a huge man, claiming that he was the true giant of WWF and could not be body slammed. This was despite the fact that he had been repeatedly slammed by multiple wrestlers, including Andre. it all built it all built up to a match at the first WrestleMania between Andre and Stud that could only be won by body slamming your opponent. Andre prevailed and won $15,000. The fifth match is Andre versus Damien. Towards the end of his wrestling career, Andre's health was seriously in decline, and he couldn't perform in the ring as constantly as he used to. One of his final major feuds was against Jake the Snake Roberts. While Andre dwarfed him in size, Roberts had the psychological advantage thanks to his snake, Damien. Andre was repeatedly afraid of snakes. It culminated in a match at WrestleMania, one, one of the better singles matches of Andre's late career. And finally, Andre's life. Andre's life. As we all know, is a life as a big man is not all sunshine and rainbows. The impact Andre the Giant had on people was felt not only throughout the wrestling world, but also in the movie business as well. Everywhere he would go, people would pick on him because of his size and made him sad. It would be very difficult for Andre to do things like use the bathroom, sit in a car, and fasten his seatbelt, and just do normal things that anyone would want to do. Enjoy the daily life. In the end, Andre's size became just too much for anyone to withstand. And on January 27th, 1993, in Paris, France, Andre Rene Roussimoff, better known as Andre the Giant, was found dead in his hotel room. He was 46 years old. I believe Andre was the gold standard when it came to big man in professional wrestling. The things that he could do in the ring was insane, and he set the bar high. The big man the big man you see today. I believe a dream match between Andre versus the Big Show would have been a box office seller. Well, that's all for this week's show, and until next time, God bless. So I think that's gonna do it for me, guys. Tell me what you think of Andre's career. I mean, let me know in the chats below what you think. And do you think he's the greatest big man to ever step in the squared circle? So yeah. So until next time, guys, be safe and God bless.